5.
Side note, these are the only chuckles that matter. These are my favorite. The shortcake ones, Without rambling too much, let me sip this drink and let's get into it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video by your ultimate fave. If you are new here today, then welcome back. We are taking it to the next level, and for all my returning subscribers, hey, return if you must. Yes, inja iyabuya ekhaya. Yes, inja izobuya ekhaya. The thing about me is that inja izobuya ekhaya, and let me explain why I say that. Now, I know I've been doing a whole lot of soul searching, trying to find myself, you know, get away from this platform. But the truth is, y'all know what time it is every time a recap is involved. Like, if there's one thing that I know my faves is, it's unmatched. It's my recaps and my confession session, and I will be doing both of them tonight. So, you're welcome. No need to thank me. We are back with a hot, guys, this is the hottest recap that I've done in a minute, and I thought Mommy Club was hot, but one thing about these recap reunions, these reunions are making up for the shitty seasons, and I think that is what production was actually trying to show us, that guys, the season sucks so that the reunion can make up for it. You know what I mean? Okay, side note, Real Housewives of Durban didn't suck. It actually was really good towards the end of the show. So what we're gonna do on this particular episode is that we're just gonna touch on everything that happened in the season, what I thought of the season, and then jump straight into the reunion and kind of encompass the whole show in its totality. I don't want us to really kind of dig in and get into the nitty-gritties. We can do all of that in the comments, but I don't want this video to be too long to a point where you can't watch it anymore, you know? So, without rambling too much, you guys know that today we're going to be tackling the Real Housewives of Durban and the explosive two-part reunion series that we got to watch. Mind you, I needed to not go unsaid that I haven't watched the end of, what is this? The end of the reunion part 2 with Londi. I haven't watched the last 15 minutes, but I kind of have an idea of what's going to be happening. So I just want to get this video out the way before I decide to procrastinate and, I don't know, take an eddy and decide to sleep. Because I've been doing that a lot lately. Whoever's got my voodoo doll, whoever doesn't want me to succeed, they know that this is the platform that helps me succeed. So they put the edibles in there in the voodoo doll, and then after that, I just procrastinate. But anyway, let's get into it. So if you guys don't know that this is the 5th installment of the Real Housewives of Durban. I think we're on season 5, so it's the 5th installment. And this season, there was kind of a shift in terms of, you know, what we regard as housewives. There was an introduction of the younger, more zesty ladies. For example, we're going to add in Fafa, we're going to add in Ayanda and Andile. They are the twins. Angel has obviously been a staple. She's now become what I would regard an OG. So I would say that the younger introduction is definitely Ayanda and Andile. We've got Fafa, and we had the introduction of Minnie, as people call her on Twitter, Minnie the Pooh. Right. So guys, I'm not gonna lie. We all know who the traitor of the season was. We all know who we love to hate. But honestly, this is not, I'm so glad that the whole world shares the same consensus about this particular person, because honestly, I saw some people saying, oh, Minnie should come back and Minnie should do this. And I'm like, were we watching the fucking same show? Were we watching the same show? First of all, I will say it out loud with my chest, and I don't know if Minnie's gonna get a chance to see this, but she's been on YouTube doing her own little reunions.
And when she arrived, I was actually genuinely excited.
Doing her own little tell-alls and exposés, and you shouldn't have done that, first of all. You should have left that job to us. First and foremost, we can all agree that the catalyst of this season was none other than Minnie. Now, Minnie, to be really honest with you, she not only bored me, she irritated me, she agitated me, she got under my skin, she upset me, she was condescending, she was classist, and also that fucking twang. Get rid of that twang, and get rid of that twang today. It's irritating. Like, yo, and you know, first of all, you know what? I knew that if I speak about Minnie first, and I told myself, none of that ghetto shit. First of all, Minnie, let me just say that you not coming to the reunion was not surprising, as per a coward would act in that sense. That was very cowardly of you to not show up to the reunion when you knew that the mess you had made. And then what made it even more cowardly and also manipulative is when you decided to do your own reunion tell-all. And she did that strategically before the first episode of the reunion. Probably, I'm gonna bite my tongue. Minnie was smart enough to release her reunion about a week before the first episode of the reunion came out so that she could get ahead of the story. She was like, Andy, get her ahead of the story. But all she did was say a bunch of nothing with extravagant English words. I want you to understand that when you're sitting there saying a whole bunch of nothing, telling people that they sleep on their back and you work on your feet, I'm here to tell you right now, I don't know what education level you have, but I'm here to tell you I've got an NFQ 9.
Do you see, Gucci, there's no thinking pattern, the mental capacity, Lana.
And let me tell you, you said a whole bunch of absolutely fucking nothing. Horrendous. It was a whole bunch of riffraff. You know when teachers say you're waffling? You weren't just waffling. You were going around and round and round and round in circles saying a whole bunch of nothing. The only thing that I heard you say with your chest is that I was wrong and I wrote the note and I want to apologize. I try to apologize to Londi. Like, Minnie, first of all, if you wanted to apologize to Londi, you had no business doing your own little reunion with whoever was in the fucking background, which I'm assuming is Sane Angelically. Let me put that out there because we don't know who was in the background that was busy asking you stupid questions. Because why went so uruti mole wabua kaskhwa hong. No, that was pathetic. That was cowardly of you, and which is so ironic considering the fact that you don't strike me as someone who is afraid. Let me say that. You don't strike me as someone osabayo. You strike me as someone who will take a bottle and strike if need be. So the one day where you were supposed to come and stand for your truth and face your stuff, that's the one day you decide to run. That's the one day you decide to actually turn back. That's the one day you decide to, I'm actually going to take the high road, and when I look back, I wasn't impressed. Minnie, shut your ass up, because we all know why you didn't pitch. We all know why you didn't pitch. You knew that this day was coming. You knew that this was the day of reckoning for you. You knew that everything that you try to mask and try to build and try to create about Londi as an entirety was going to be unveiled, and that you were going to be seen as, the shit starter. You knew that the house was coming. It was falling down on you, and you knew that this is going to come out to light, that I actually bullied Londi, and you were not prepared to stand for it. Which, honestly, I'm surprised. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought you were gonna stand on business. I thought you were gonna get there and double down with your chest, but instead you decided to pull the, and when I had to look inward. You know what I had to look at, and I didn't even like it? That fucking dress. That fucking dress is horrible, Minnie. That dress stinks. But Minnie's not the only person who decided to pull the cowardice move. We also had an OG, Nonku Williams International, deciding not to rock up at the reunion. And I'm just like, that is so strange. Like, out of all people, I would have never thought that Nonku would decide to walk away and not attend a reunion. But then in hindsight, when we see how she treated Jojo, guys, black people, no. Let me tell you something about the dynamic of Jojo and Nonku's friendship for me that I experienced, or that I saw on television unfolding. I think Nonku and Jojo had a solid friendship, but because Jojo came into the group as the only non-black person there, because we can't count Annie. Annie, but she can easily fall under people of color, because she's Annie Mtembu. Yeah, no, but Annie, before she was Annie Mtembu, I don't know if Annie's colored. But Jojo was the only non-black person to join that group. There was a whole lot of isolation from the first season, where she really threw jabs at Mabusi for, checking if she has money. She really came in with a classist feel, and I think the only person who really shielded her and became her true friend in that essence was Nonku, right? Judging from the fact that, remember last season when Sarisha mentioned that you know, she stopped liking Jojo, or she stopped looking at Jojo in the same way after how Jojo treated the helpers and the workers. And Annie also kind of seconded that theory of Annie and I, we saw you, how you were treating the people, how you were shouting at them. So you could see that over the years, Jojo started off with this very, I don't know, high horse, let's call it that. And then she was quickly shut down. She made a lot of enemies. She was very isolated, and she had no one besides Nonku on her side. And that's when the friendship started forming. And I don't blame Jojo this season for realizing why she's so insecure about her friendship with Nonku, feeling as though Nonku really came in as a saving grace, feeling as though Nonku's my only friend in the group, and you know, we have each other's backs. And you can really see it with the things that Jojo has been doing this season. Like if Nonku tells her, let's wear pink to Precious's all black event, Jojo going alongside that, knowing that when you looked at Jojo this season, man, there was a really different look, something that just didn't feel like the normal, you know, quirky, funny Jojo that we used to have. She still had the elements of I'm rich, my husband's rich, and we've got Calvin. But you could see like a sadness in Jojo's eyes this season. Jojo didn't want to be the Jojo that we knew 2 seasons ago. Jojo really wanted to change, and Jojo really wanted to integrate into the group. Nonku, however, is the one that actually kind of stopped Jojo dead in her tracks from integrating into the group by either not wanting them to succumb to the group or doing things that Jojo, you can evidently see she's not comfortable with doing, but she's doing them because Nonku's a friend. You understand? We saw that with Precious's event where they wore pink to the event. We saw that when they had the slumber party at Vivari where Jojo was jumping in to defend Nonku from low, saying no, but like just let it go. We've seen how Jojo time and time again this season has really tried to prove herself and her loyalty to Nonku, who was probably sitting in there and telling Jojo how inadequate she is, or maybe how she doesn't defend her enough, or why is Jojo integrating with Angel? Why is Jojo integrating with Londi? I feel like when I look at it now, I see why Jojo cried this reunion. There were a lot of things that she didn't tell us, rightfully so, because it's the friendship with her and Nonku, but we can see a lot of like a power imbalance. And I say this all the time, there's a power imbalance here where Jojo might have all the money in the world, but you can see Jojo's need for approval and validation. And as someone who's experienced that at the hands of people that I really regarded my friends, I feel bad for Jojo. I'm not even gonna lie, I feel so bad for her. So yeah, Nonku decides not to come to the reunion, which is not surprising, but I don't think her not coming has anything to do with Jojo. I think her not coming this time has a lot more to do with accountability and the shit that she stirred, and knowing this time that no one was going to stick up for her, Jojo inclusive. I think if Nonku knew that Jojo was going to go in there guns blazing and not say a thing and basically shield Nonku and defend Nonku's bad behavior, Nonku would have felt a little bit more, you know, easy about coming. I do also believe to a certain degree this season that Nonku must have been put up against the wall to do some things which ruffle some feathers, and she knew that she was gonna have to account for that, and knowing that she couldn't blame production. So I just feel like there were so many other elements of it, but I think the most important one, or the one that we need to not completely alienate, is that Nonku ditched this reunion because she knew that Jojo was not going to support her shenanigans anymore. And I'm glad that Nonku didn't come, because if Nonku came and Jojo wanted to be open and honest, she was not going to be given that platform. She was not going to get that platform, because Nonku was going to do what Nonku does best, make the situation about herself. Start crying, start walking off, have Jojo follow her, have Jojo walk after her. And then she started doing the whole baptizing thing to Jojo. Like there's just, you're realizing that there's so many elements here of like a dominant and a submissive, and maybe those are the wrong terms to use, obviously, because we use those terms when you're right. But you can see that Nonku, to a certain degree for some time, has been pulling Jojo to do things that Jojo might not necessarily agree with. And it's okay. There's an imbalance in this friendship where Nonku expects to be understood and heard and respected and felt and validated, but she just doesn't give the same energy towards Jojo. And that's just what I felt this season. And I felt it through Jojo's tears, right? So obviously, we speak about that. We get into the crux of things. I think this is the time where we can all agree that we are seeing the split of Joku in real time. We are seeing Jojo finally stand up on her own 2 feet. Finally, Jojo admitting of the mistakes that she's made in the past. I don't know what that whole crying thing was about in Mauritius, where you talked about, yeah, they're still holding me to that whole bag thing. That's on you, mama. That's on you, and you're gonna have to hold that L. Because genuinely, when you look at the clips that were shown again, you were being classist all on your own accord. And obviously, look, I mean, you made a mistake. You've grown from it. You understand. You made a fake Birkin. Honestly, that fake Birkin, I would have worn it. If you can make it in a black, and have NM, I will honestly wear it. I will keep it a buck though. I was hurt on Jojo's behalf towards the end of the show, when she gave them Birkins and then no one really wanted to put it on. Because I'm just like, but guys, come on. It's a Birkin. You can't even afford the real Birkin. Only one person there can afford the real Birkin, and that's Sarisha. Okay? Take the Birkin and go. Take the jerkin. I do understand Jojo's sadness about it. I think she took it a bit too personally. If I were Jojo's friend and she gave me the Birkin, I would have taken it. I really would have worn it. I think Jojo was trying to really reach out and give a good gesture. But at the end of the day, it probably wasn't received like that. Don't take it to heart. That is a very, very cute Birkin. And honestly, call me up. I might just take one of them. That's if you're not mad at me anymore for all the shit I said years ago. Growth. Also, this reunion, the first part, I really wasn't moved. I think there were a lot of things that needed to be dissected. I guess the Precious and Minnie and Ntle thing, talking about how everything transpired. We could see that Precious left in the beginning of the show, or within like the first half of the season, she left. I think Precious leaving more so had nothing to do. It had a lot to do with Minnie, and Minnie feeling empowered to bully Precious. But I also believe in hindsight, Precious left because everybody was in unison about the fact that this is not the first time people complain about your hair, mama. And it also wasn't just the hair situation. It was about how you responded to your clients and your customers. And you guys know that there's nothing that pisses Naledi M off like bad customer service, okay? If your customer service is bad, I ain't buying shit from you. And Precious, already from how you conducted yourself in the first few episodes, I get it. You were under pressure. You were being attacked. You were responding the way you felt it necessary to respond. But I'm not putting it past you. I'm not putting it past you to treat people like shit. I'm not putting it past you to be very rude and disrespectful to your followers or to your customers. Because why did you leave? And why did you not address the rumors? I get it. You came to the reunion. And even at the reunion, when you were being asked about this and Angel was obviously explaining the dynamic, Precious started by saying Angel is two-faced because of the Minnie Precious thing. And I'm just like, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. Because Angel is mentioning that, guys, I brought Precious, but I didn't know about this Precious and Minnie situation, right? Let's go by that theory. When Angel eventually did find out, whose side did Angel take? Angel was like, here's the receipts. You really did this, Precious. Because if Angel was being two-faced, Angel would have stayed out of it, would have let them fight, would have let her friend Minnie get into the deep end of the pool. Because at the end of the day, Angel did mention that she knew Minnie better than she knew Precious. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't see the element of Angel being two-faced in this regard. I think if Angel had kept quiet and said, I don't know anything, I'm pleading the fifth, Angel stood up and said, but Precious, you're doing these things. We're seeing these things. Here are the things. You're lying on Minnie's name. Showcasing Hori. Angel probably had no idea, or at least didn't know the severity of the situation. So yes, from Precious's end, it does seem like Angel recruited Precious to try and drag Precious's business. It does come across that way. But now come to find in the reunion that Minnie was actually brought onto the show by Lo and not by Angel. So we can't really go by the theory to say that Angel's two-faced, because that would be too far-fetched. You're taking a reach, okay? You're reaching further than your hands can actually pull out. Like, come on. Come on. Look, I mean, I get why people would actually see Angel as being two-faced, but I'm actually not gonna be on the bandwagon with that one. I don't think Angel was being two-faced. I think Angel really wasn't privy to the depth of how serious this thing was. And also because we found out that Minnie was brought onto the show by Lo, it is fair to make the assumption that Angel really didn't know about the situation. Because if Minnie was brought onto the show by Angel, would have made perfect sense. We would have then known that, whoa. So I do feel like also You know what, guys? Can I actually just say, like, out of everybody who fucking annoys me, Lo annoys me the fucking most. Lo umama wesonto and awunaqiniso naneli one. Ufuna ukukhala wena every time you're caught in a corner. Umdala. You know, this is exactly what I dislike about Batshwa Kereke. And now, don't get me wrong, as a mkheteni myself, as a certified mkheteni, Lo, you brought Minnie onto the show. And now that we are privy to the fact that you brought Minnie onto the show, this whole, I'm just trying to help you. Shut up. Shut up. I don't need that shit from you, Lo. I actually liked you. I thought you were someone who knew how to reason, but in actual fact, you got caught with your hands behind your back. You're causing ruckus, and then you're closing your hands like, you're both my friends. They're not both your friends. You, Lo, annoyed me the most this season. If there was anybody who annoyed me, no, Mara Lo untine to the level, to the 10th power of the level of untena. And a worst part of mewakereke. Worst part of muto man. Yes, sis. You're lucky you're rich. That's why I want to see you in the next season. Because that last house, mama. Okay, fine. I'm done bashing on Lo. Lo, look, I get it. And I can tell that Lo felt terrible. She was caught in the middle. You could tell that she was really anxious about the situation. You could tell, like, every time she looked at Londi, she wanted to cry. And I could feel Lo's pain. She realizes that she made a mistake, guys. She realizes, and she probably got caught in a corner where she was too afraid to tell Londi because she could have been coerced into saying she brought Minnie onto the show. And now she has to look at her friend in the face and say, shit, I may or may have not caused this. But please don't let me feeling bad for you take away the fact that you were shitty for that. You were so shitty. You are so shitty for that because you brought Minnie onto the show. There's a point where Londi rocks up to, I think it's Angel's 90s theme party thing, Guamex or something. Londi rocks up there. All of a sudden, you guys are having conversations in the bathroom where Angel was then called out for, like, you know that Minnie doesn't like Londi. Angel, okay. If you guys are going to call Angel two-faced for that comment, I am fully 100% with you on that. Angel actually played a very strategic game this season of making it seem like she's not a part of the drama, but in actual fact, if you're going to say something, stand 10 toes on that. Don't be on some, you know Minnie doesn't like Londi, then at the reunion go, yeah, okay, I said it, but I was saying, no, you weren't. No, the fuck you weren't, Angel. No, you were. For me, it was the performance. It was that, no, but I wasn't saying that because of this. I was saying that because of the whole thing that happened with the dress in. But when you look at that footage and you're looking at Lo and you're like, you know, Minnie doesn't like Lo. It can't be because of the dress. Angel, you've got this thing where you're seeming accountable because you're taking the responsibility, but you lied. That's the part where you're two-faced. Not necessarily the precious thing. Now I'm gonna give you that. Leia, no. No, and I can, you know what, guys, call me crazy, but I think Angel was one of the people who also didn't want Londi on the show. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? All of them. The only people that didn't mind Londi being on the show was Sorisha, Joe, and I think Nonku didn't really care. But this newbie crowd, they're the ones who didn't want Londi on the show. And now I'm inclined to ask them why. Angel, when if Bonga's next, that term would have never came out of your mouth. But okay, let's just go by the theory that you really were going with that. But I'm going to tell you for free, I don't believe you. There you were two-faced. There you were two-faced and we valenge. No, I meant this. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll take the L. Taking the L doesn't necessarily exonerate you from me seeing you for who you are. You understand what I'm saying? You understand? From Londi's perspective, you saying that and then coming back and then saying, no, hi, when did I say that? Who said that? You did. We watched you. How are you going to turn around and say that's not what you said when you know that's what you said? But anyway, you could all tell that there was an underlying thing about them not wanting Londi to come back this season. And I really don't understand why. Because Londi is also one of the people who are an OG like Angel, where Londi's been part of, wait, how many seasons has she been a part of? I don't know. I'm not going to count it. But the point is, Londi was wronged this season. And you guys will be fucking lying mothers and wives to sit here and say something wasn't concocted to make Londi feel the way that she did. That was concocted. And unfortunately, that's not production. Unless production said that Londi must come back because, no. You could clearly see that the antagonist in here is Minnie. Minnie didn't like Londi. Minnie didn't like Precious. Minnie was gunning for whoever, but most importantly, Minnie thought this is my big break. And if I'm going to be Cruella de Vil, I need to make it good. And you know what? Sweetie, brava. And scene. Because I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna ever see you any different. It's like me not seeing Nolunto. I'm not Nolunto go generations. She'll always be Nolunto in my eyes. Zanande Mfenyana. You understand? Okay, but apparently there's been like times where she's actually been mean in real life. But the point is, I ain't never gonna unsee you, Miss Minnie. No. I'm never gonna unsee you as the mean girl. I'm never gonna unsee you as Cruella de Vil because you really are. The next thing that we need to really touch on are the twins. I'll be happy if the twins never come back, and I'm so serious. I'll be happy if the twins never come back, and all that little fake crying thing that you did on stage. Who are you guys fooling? Who? It ain't me. Shut. When they started crying, guys, I rolled my eyes, and it's so sad because normally when people start crying, like when Jojo started crying, I got emotional. I choked. When I saw Lo look at Londi with the sadness in her eyes, I choked. When they started crying, I was like, I can't do this, and I'm leaving. Oh yeah, guy. Oh yeah, guy. Naledi. Who are guy? I just think for me it's the fucking audacity. The audacity for you guys to sit there, to try and double down, to try and explain yourselves, and then turn around and cry. Ah, please. That won't even get a safta out of me. You all know we don't believe that shit. And then you walking up to Londi. If I was Londi, I would have said thank you, but don't touch me. You understand what I'm saying? Because first of all, we all know that the twins came into the group. The twins are fashionistas. They stylists. They do all this cute stuff, which is really cool. Like, I really like their stuff. And then here's where the problem started. When Londi specifically said for her theme that she wants designer swimwear. I'm sorry, guys, but what are we watching? We're watching Real Housewives of Durban. We're not fucking watching a Mallela episode of people who are trying in the debt. Your housewives. We've seen how you guys live. We've seen you and your husband's house. I don't know if it's Ayanda or Andile, whichever one it is. The one that's dating that guy, Tabu. No, Tabu's Fafa's man. I don't know. Fuck. The one that's dating the other guy. We've seen your homes. We've seen that you can afford. So for you to sit there and go, yeah, this theme, and we're gonna bring what we wore. First of all, now, I don't want you guys to know what I really think of the outfits that they did bring to Londi's party, because I'm not going to do that because I told myself I'm a different woman, and the only person who's going to be getting my wrath today is Minnie the Pooh. Okay? You guys don't want to know what I think of that outfit. You don't. I think it was interesting, fascinating. It was fine. But the truth is, it didn't adhere to the theme. Okay? It did not adhere to the theme. Guys, you could have went to flipping hydraulics. You could have went to Michael Kors. Luxury designer. Oh, she did mention Versace, this. Hey, now in Londi, yeah, we can only protect you for so much. But the point is, it's her theme. And if you couldn't adhere to the theme, just say, hey, I can't come. Also, I noticed that Londi was so easy on Angel about her not wearing designer swimwear, but then going hard on the girls. Londi, there you are wrong, Londi, there. Londi, hey, there, Londi. But you're exonerated because everything you experienced towards the end of the episodes were kind of crazy, okay? So yeah, guys, I really didn't even understand why the twins were crying to begin with. I really didn't understand it. They try to double down. They try to say this is the level. Then when it's replayed for you, you're still saying, but whoa, hey, man, shut. Have you ever watched a reunion and you want to throw something at the TV? That's how I felt about the twins. And to be really honest, I'll be happy never seeing them again. You and your cute little designer can just go, Hambange, you guys are going to be appreciated for your designer, because at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. If someone says designer swimwear, I'm not thinking my own clothing. That doesn't fall under designer. You know it doesn't fall under designer. And then saying, oh, she used the term of levels, and then saying, yeah, now how does she get her designer? Then you're gonna talk about being bullied. Shut up. Shut up. And I never want to see you guys on my screen again. Shut up. I never want to see you guys on my screen again. You guys are hypocrites. You're hypocrites. And on top of that, yeah, how did she get that designer? How did she do this? Oh, because she said, what? Oh, because she said you guys aren't wearing designer. All of that became a thing for you guys to actually go and question and put Londi's reputation into question. I never want to see you guys on my screen again. And I know you guys cried and said it's not for you, for us. It's not for you. It's not for you. You're bullies. You're bullies. Minnie and Minnie left you guys out to dry. You guys are the vui of the Real Housewives of Durban. The only difference between you and Vui's actually got a backbone. You guys don't. Vui's actually got a backbone. She would have still stood on 10 toes and looked at Londi and said, I said what I said and I meant it. You guys, on the other hand, this little crying theatric, it did not land with me. It did not land with me, and I really hope for the rest of South Africa it doesn't land with them either, because you guys have shown yourselves for who you really are. It goes to show who you guys have felt like this about Londi for a hot minute, whether or not it was the whole swimming costume thing. You guys genuinely la bua. By the time lifita Mauritius, none of you, or twin 1 or twin 2 or A no B, I man, I no Londi as the twins and speak to her and tell her how we felt at the Mauritius event, because because you guys never wanted to make amends. You never liked Londi, and I would think as twins, you guys have each other. You're better off just being hated for how you really feel than playing this whole you shut. If you don't shut up, go lintene and a libaholo manyana fuck. I haven't been this upset in a minute. Are we gonna get into Fafa's husband? First of all, Fafa, I just want to say Fafa is gorgeous, sweet. She's really bared her line. She's bared herself on camera for us. She showed us the issues with her mother-in-law. She's shown us the issues with her trash-ass, narcissistic-ass husband. Yes, girl, I said it. Girl, no. Lata. Fafa, do you know how beautiful you are? I don't even want to talk about your face card. I don't even want to talk about your beautiful, subtle voice. I don't even want to talk about how endearing you are. That's the nigga that you're going to let's say some shit about you like that. That nigga. Lo vega cheater lo. And ngicela izimani namafile ngothabo. Ngicela nolethe la. Ngizowafaka la. That's the nigga that you're going to let sit on national TV and say, yo, I believe she cheated. When you definitely, guys, you can already tell from that conversation with Fafa and Lo that he definitely had a woman living in the house. Where's Fafa gonna make that shit up from? And first of all, why are we even trusting KZN niggas who drive M4s? Whatever you do, don't ever trust a nigga who drives an M4. And yes, I'm speaking from experience of dating more than one person with an M4. As it's M4, as it's M3, Lasha ulahle and never look back. As it's Golf 7, as it's GTI, Lasha. Angeke isifebe sizongibiza isifebe on national TV. Gahana. I got the ick. First of all, I think Fafa's husband went onto the show to go and embarrass his fiance and let everybody know what she had been doing, reiterating a story that was on the blogs. And for me, I was like, as my husband, as my king, if you're going to do that to me, over and over again, even at the reunion, you're supposed to protect me. Did you guys see how nervous Fafa was laughing at that? I would have been so upset, guys. I would have been so angry. The tears in my eyes would have just, nekofela matla. I would have been so completely disappointed. And you're sitting here and you're trying to make it seem like you forgave me and all that stuff, but you want to put it out on TV about the fact that your best friend and I were talking while you were putting your third leg in some woman's guts in the house. And I want to tell you, we can find out izinto bozenza wena. Ungazozenza msula ngofafa wena. And I'm with the way he's so narcissistic. Yeah, I believe she cheated on me. Bitch! You know what I believe? I believe you can shut the hell up. I believe you can shut the fuck up. Because if you went back to Fafa when you knew who this thing ill hit, why did you go back? Fafa could have found somebody else. Fafa's hot. You should have let Fafa do the season by herself. You should have let a rich ass man bag Fafa. And actually, she should just forget about your rat ass. Fafa. Mlahle. Yeah, nyaloy. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if they're watching this together. This is all just a jelly. Mlahle. Sis. Yo, Fafa was one of my favorites. I think she really tried to be so vulnerable, show us herself, show us who she is and where she's coming from and being accountable for the mistakes that she made. And then you've got this big ass rat who, when the other guy, I don't know if it's Andile or Ayanda's husband, who was laughing at him, was like, yeah, nigga, yeah, yes. If you're gonna forgive her. Otherwise, manja yami, amajuba yokuta pambili. Now futhi uFafa, this is the beginning of her career that's going to emulate. Guys, I'm giving them 3 years. Fafa will be out of there. Less than 3 years. Fafa will be out of there. And Fafa, get out of there. No, seriously, it's giving get outs. So yeah, guys, man, this reunion was crazy, bruh. We've touched on Lo, we've touched on Londi, we've touched on Fafa, we've touched on the twins, touched on Angel, touched on Presh. Sorisha. First of all, Sorisha, I feel like the only thing I have to say about you this season is that outfit was a miss. Where was your stylist? Where was your stylist? Where was he? Or she? Or they? Where? Because that outfit was the worst. The best dress for me was definitely Jojo, without a shadow of doubt. Closely followed by Londi. I would have also given Lo one, but when I saw Lo's outfit when she was sitting, it looked a bit amiss. Like a lot was missing here. I did like the part over here, but I feel like Londi and Jojo definitely aced it, with Jojo being number one for me this season. And I was super disappointed in the fact that Sorisha was like in my least favorites, because Sorisha always aces her looks. But I'm going to take the theory and the ideology of saying that her stylist was not in South Africa, because ain't no way, boy. I know people want to have a conversation about Sorisha and her hand in this group and how much of a heavyweight she is, like what she says goes. Because I remember throughout the season, she made a comment about, if I want Londi here, then she'll be here. Guys, I think it's time you guys understood that how na chelete and how na chelete, how no understand na chelete in fact. Like, you can sit here and say whatever you want. Look, Sorisha has been part of Real Housewives of Durban from season 1. Okay, Sorisha is one of the very pertinent housewives. And if Sorisha leaves, if Jojo leaves, if Nonku leave, then you might as well dismantle the whole thing and start from scratch, because then you've lost a good portion of the OG housewives. Now you're just left scrambling, finding your Ayandas, finding your Minnies, and just finding a couple of nobodies, you understand? So you guys can say whatever you want, and you can feel how you feel about Sorisha, but at the end of the day, the OGs will always have some sort of hierarchy over the new Gs. And if the OGs feel like, hey man, we want to bring Londi back, we like her, whatever, whether it be true or not, of which I don't believe is true, because Sorisha did say, guys, I play no part in who production brings back. But if Sorisha wants to work with Londi and Londi is good for TV, you guys aren't supposed to be the ones to tell us, oh yeah, Sorisha's only doing this because of chelete. It's a chelete, Luena. It's a chelete, because what you're doing right now is you're sitting and complaining about something that, of which I feel, personally, if I'm an OG of the production team and I know that I can't relate with these people and I want to bring back a former friend of the show, I'm going to use the opportunity to do that. Whether or not Sorisha played a part or not. If I want to film again with Tadeus, and Tadeus was on 2 seasons ago, Tadeus comes to visit me, I'm going to let Tadeus come and shoot with me. And if Tadeus is good for TV and they were like, hey, talk to Tadeus to come back, I will talk to Tadeus to come back on the show. I don't even understand why you guys are making this a thing. This is not even a thing. We all knew Londi was good for TV. Londi left because of Sane. Sane didn't even get a renewal. And you can high-key know that Minnie is also not going to get renewed. Because at the end of the day, this was all bullying. This was all kind of, it was all kind of glamorized as, oh, these are housewives taking jabs at each other. Saying I work on my feet, you work on your back. What are you insinuating? What are you insinuating more so than the fact that she sleeps around? But you're insinuating what? You understand? You're putting her whole entire character into question. For what? Oh, because she said your dress is ugly. I need you to be so fucking for real. Be for real. Be for real. No. So I feel like this reunion, it highlighted a lot of breaks. Like, and when I say breaks, imagine a whole entire ice, like imagine we're in the Antarctic and there's ice and something cracks, like Ice Age. And it cracks so much that it starts opening up other cracks, right? And you just see a complete breakaway from what we regarded as the two different, segregated groups. It's no longer that. And in actual fact, in hindsight, it never was that. In hindsight, what we can see is, again, the imbalance led us to believe that there's group 1 and there's group 2, but in actual fact, even in group 1, there's breakages of friendship groups. Even in group 2, seeing Londi and Lo have that back and forth was heartbreaking. Seeing Jojo and Nonku, they break, was heartbreaking. You understand? Seeing Ayanda and Andile kind of have the break with Londi was heartbreaking. You can see that the group has been completely dismantled. And would it be a good idea for them to come back on in the new season and try to mend fences and see people really come into their own into their own individualism, or where they just come back and they don't have a khoya skembe, and a khoya skembe means to choose a side and stick by the side out of fear that, oh, Jojo is going to be with Sorisha and I'm a newbie, so I'm not going to relate. Because you can see how Angel has completely transcended from being, one of the newbies fighting last season with Maria to ending up being close to Jojo. So you can see there's been it's been dismembered, which is good, because this dismembering of these cliques is allowing for the women next season, should they come back, except Minnie the fucking poo, if they can come back and mend fences, then the friendship can completely start forming from a very organic perspective. You understand what I'm saying? Minnie, I don't want you anywhere near that franchise. And for the mere fact that you did your own little reunion and you didn't invite me to grill you, that's even worse. Because now I know for a fact all of that was performative. If you got someone who's actually going to call you out, I would have understood that. But you're sitting there with Sane, you're hiding Sane as if you guys aren't best friends, and if we didn't see you guys shoot already, and then you guys are sitting there, you even got a makeup artist, you even got a hair lady, you got a glam team and everything. To tell a whole bunch of nothing. Fucking. Yeah, I went off. But anyway, let me know what you thought. I honestly think this reunion has to be the most mind-blowing and has convinced me that I love Real Housewives. This reunion has convinced me that I love the Real Housewives of Durban franchise. I love it, and I love the fact that Londi came back, because Londi really unleashed the truth. The notes that were written, the fact that they were written by the twins, by Minnie and Fafa. Fafa said she didn't write them. Fafa said she fetched them from her room. But the twins and Minnie. And I want to tell you guys what was on the notes, but sources close to me will tell you that note, the note about Nonku is hot. And it had me gagged. Like, I'm not gonna lie. No. I did. A close old birdie actually told me what was on the note. And I'm not gonna lie, I'd be gagged too if I was Nonku. I'd be gagged. Because she's not gonna live that one down for a while. And she didn't want it coming back because she didn't want it resurfacing. She's really trying to rebrand. But, Nonku, when we see you back next season, we will be unpacking that note. So, I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Let me know. But until then, I will see you guys on the next season of The Real Housewives of Durban. And production, make sure this time, don't pick any Naledi in the street just because Naledi has got 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. How choosing, man? This thing, we're gonna have requirements for housewives. Let's break it down. You understand? But comment down below, let me know what you guys think. But until then, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next video right here on your Ultimate Faves channel.